Yeah, close. Up and close? No worries, I like it. We can make good eye contact. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody who is online via Zoom joining us tonight. Thank you for hopping online. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Thanks, everyone. Okay, perfect. We're going to go ahead and get started. Sue is making her way to the front to give us a quick welcome.
You not like adjust your face just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay.
I'll come in there. So Matt, actually, I'm gonna have you.
Oh, perfect. Come on over.
Yeah. In order to talk to people on Zoom, you have to go. This is a hybrid.
It's a hybrid. We love hybrids. So, yeah, is my head getting cut off? So welcome, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us tonight, both in person and online. This is City of La Mesa's Parks Master Plan Update Community Workshop. Parks Master Plan is something that is not something that gets updated real frequently. So it's awesome to have all of you participate tonight. It's a chance as a community to provide feedback on your vision for what you would like to see the park and recreation facilities throughout the city of La Mesa look like in the future. What types of facilities would you like to see? What types of programming would you like to have in your community to participate for you, your family members, your neighbors in? We appreciate everybody's feedback. I'm currently serving as the chairperson of the City of La Mesa's Community Services. I'm drawing a blank there. Thank you, Commission. Thank you, Community Services Commission. We provide feedback to the City of La Mesa on all things park and recreation. And so we meet once a month, the second Wednesday of every month at the MacArthur Park. And we'd love to have you join us on a regular basis or whenever you have the chance to join us on all things park and recreation. And so again, thank you for coming tonight and appreciate your participation in the process.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, great. Well, I'm glad to see more people joining us tonight. I want to first of all thank you and welcome you to tonight's workshop. My name is Jacob Leon. I am part of the K2A team. We are planners and landscape architects located in San Diego, and we're happy to be back working again and continue to keep working in La Mesa. Our team, I'm joined by Brooke over here to your back left, and I have Nicole behind you as well, who are my teammates on this project. And so I'm going to have a 15-minute presentation to essentially walk you through all of the printed boards that you see behind you. That way we can have better conversations, after the presentation. And hopefully, we can make some more informed commentary. So I look forward to going through it. It is a little dense. There's numbers and things. It is a citywide Parks and Rec master plan. So I'm sorry ahead of time that there are numbers and maps you're gonna have to sit through, but bear with me. It's really important for these kinds of Park and Rec master plans. And then we'll do an open house. So as soon as you're comfortable with leaving your commentary, feel free to head home and have dinner and get back to your friends and family. So no pressure, right? So again, thank you for being here. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And then as a reminder for people, we have restrooms in the back in the hall. If you go out and then make a left. For those of you joining us online via Zoom, we are going to be monitoring questions as well as through Facebook. And we're gonna take a couple of questions from the audience online. Say them out loud for the group here that's here in person, and then we're going to let the people know online, as I'm doing right now, that there will be a survey that basically has this information online where they can provide commentary. So with that settled, I think we're going to go turn down the lights and get started with the presentation. Thanks, everyone. Okay. Nicole, can you confirm that you're seeing full screen? Yes? Okay, great.
Oh, no, I see your next slide, which I did.
Let's see. Better?
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you all. Okay, so this is a partnership. This project is between the City of La Mesa, ourselves here at K2A, as well as another sub-consultant called Matrix. This is the team that's going to be working with Sue's team on operations, maintenance, staffing, that sort of thing. So they'll be having one-on-one conversations and other focus group meetings between now and through the end of summer. A Parks and Recreation Master Plan is really important for a city. As the commissioner mentioned, it doesn't happen every often. It's usually about 7 to 12 years on average that cities update their Parks and Rec Master Plan. And it's really about identifying those short, mid, and long-term projects for current and future La Mesa residents. We're going to hopefully give the team here at the City of La Mesa a clear set of goals for the next 10 years, so they could really improve their parks and recreation, physical amenities and facilities, as well as a programming that's just as important when it comes to these things. Better with volume? Yes, okay, great. And of course, as with any other project in La Mesa, there's going to be plenty of stakeholder engagement. So this is 2 of 4 workshops that are planned for this project. For the project itself, there's 4 big steps, and we find ourselves really kind of running parallel between 2 and 3. Engagement with the community stakeholders, so that we can really have a good fundamental understanding of what's on the ground, what is working, what isn't working, so that we can start making better informed decisions in the recommendation space. So this will take us through the summer, and I hope to be back late summer, early fall to present draft recommendations for you to provide feedback on. This is the part where I'm going to go through maps and tables, okay? They're really important, so stick with me, okay? Because this is going to be helping us make informed decisions later on in the fall. But first, we begin with understanding your existing parks. Really, the city right now oversees approximately, they oversee 16 parks, that is approximately 118 acres of parkland and throughout the city, okay? You have a combination of neighborhood parks, community parks, smaller facilities, a good mix of things. And they're, as you can see, spread all throughout the city. But we're gonna take a closer look at that in a moment, okay? Our team, Nicole, Brooke, and myself, we were out and we visited all of the park facilities with the city. But as we were doing this, we were taking pictures, of course, we were analyzing the conditions of all of the many major facilities that are at each park, and counting them, grading them to see like what condition they're in, because it's really invaluable information, right? To maybe start prioritizing which parks may or may not need a little bit more love. So this was a great time going through all of your parks, Aztec, Briarcrest, Highwood, Harry Griffin, Jackson, literally all throughout the city, to get a good understanding of the condition of these parks. This term, level of service, is really important. This is a term that we use for these parks and rec master plans. And it's related to your numbers. How many people live here in La Mesa? How many acres of parks do you have? And it's almost like a grading sheet. How are you doing? How many acres of parkland do you have? And are they serving your community well or not well? Okay, so let's start with the first table right here. Using 2021 census information, which is the latest information we have an estimated population of 61,000 La Mesa residents. Okay, so that's the first important number. Now the existing park acreage, the 121, it went up a little bit because we're counting some of the joint use, the school sites that are available to residents, so it bumps up the acreage a little bit. Now, the 3 on the second row, the standard population for 1,000. This is pretty typical. It's essentially saying, do we have 3 acres for every 1,000 La Mesa residents? And then we have simple math equations, and you'll see the numbers, rows, the 4th and 5th rows. This table really starts telling us, is there a deficit or a surplus in park acreage in your city based on your population and that 3 per 1,000? So here with these numbers, it's saying there is a deficit, right? No, they're saying you're about 61 acres short to meet that 3 per 1,000. And I always say this at every presentation that I give for all of my park and rec master plans. It is incredibly rare for any city in Southern California to be in a surplus, right? The way our cities have grown, the way they were designed back in the day, right? We're not like the East Coast or the Midwest where we have big access to all these big open spaces. So in Southern California, I don't think I've had a single client who's been in the surplus. So don't be too alarmed. This is typical. I mean, it sounds negative, but it is typical to be in a deficit, right? Especially as the city continues to grow, right? The next table, we wanted to show this table because the recommended standard across Southern California, based on the projects we work on, many cities strive for the 5 acres for every 1,000. So what does that mean? The deficit goes up, right? It just means if you really want to strive for 5 acres for every 1,000 residents, you have some work to do. So this is just, it's a good number, right? To at least set a foundation of where does La Mesa stand currently. Now, this is also important for this master plan. Cities grow, resident population grows. So these two tables are assuming that you don't add new parks, right? In this hypothetical situation, if La Mesa weren't to do anything more, just simply what we have now, we have, a data that is projecting about 68,000 La Mesa residents by 2050. Okay, so about 9,000, right, to go up. Those numbers, of course, if you're not adding acreages, it just means your deficit goes up even more, right? And of course, using the 5 per 1,000, the deficit goes up even more. Needless to say, it's just a goal, right? It's kind of working backwards. Where do we stand and how can we add new park facilities or more partnerships to help improve the deficit that you see here, okay? Don't worry about this table. This table's back there, so you can look a little bit closer. But this table is also important because it's looking at your facilities and amenities on the ground. So using guidelines and numbers from the National Recreation Parks Foundation, which is data collected across the country, we have numbers, right? Guidelines basically saying you need to have X number of picnic areas, X number of basketball courts, fields, et cetera, et cetera. So we have these numbers, again, they're guides, right? That we can at least grade ourselves against and see how we're doing. And you'll see black numbers and red numbers, basically saying you're meeting your goal or you're in a deficit. So, these arrows essentially are pointing out some of the higher deficits, like for example, according to these numbers, we could use some more playgrounds, we could use more basketball courts, that sort of thing. So we do this once again for 2050 population. And if we don't add anything new, again, your deficits continue to go up, right? You're just gonna go, you're gonna bury yourself more in the deficit. This is just encouraging, the city of La Mesa to start figuring out how we can add things or improve things to start improving these numbers that we see here in these hypothetical scenarios, okay? Now the maps, these are hopefully a little bit easier to digest. So now you're going to see our analysis when it comes to geographic distribution of your parks, which is very, very important. Where are they located throughout the city? Are they easily accessible? And let's see where there may or may not be gaps throughout the city, okay? So very high level analysis, but very, very useful. Our team does, yeah. Oh, we are K2A, we're located in San Diego. Yes, we are. So the first map that you're seeing here in this, and I do apologize for those here in person, the projector is washing out some of the colors, but these are all printed behind, okay? So I'm more than happy to walk you through. Hopefully everybody online is seeing the maps as they were designed originally, but hopefully what you're seeing are some outlines. This first is a half-mile distance from all of the parks in La Mesa, okay? But what we do is we usually also like to add another layer to this map. That's the residential land use. We're basically saying where are people living? Because at the most fundamental, it's residents, where they live and how are they getting to the parks, right, in La Mesa. So this map has the yellow and the orange colors are representing the residential land use, and it starts refining a little bit more whether or not there are or are there not gaps in the city when it comes to parks. And then, of course, we always do also a 2-mile travel shed, which represents more of the driving aspect, and is there coverage with this 2-mile, and a 2-mile travel shed from the parks in La Mesa essentially does cover quite a bit, throughout the city. So many times we do tend to focus on that half-mile, that 10 to 15 walking, goal that many, many cities have when it comes to these Parks and Rec master plans. In addition, I have 3 more maps to share with you. We take it one step deeper in this analysis, right? One thing is to look at your parks and where they're located, great. You have gaps or you don't have gaps. But then it's also important to understand what kind of amenities do you have at these parks? And are they well distributed throughout the city of La Mesa? So we do what we call the trio analysis. It's three major things and they vary from city to city. For La Mesa, we did playgrounds. So the red dots and the new outlines represent the parks with playgrounds. And we can start at seeing whether or not there are gaps in the city. We have the courts. So think tennis, basketball, pickleball. So we do this analysis as well. And of course, not every park has courts. So you're going to see less coverage. And lastly, we wanted to try to understand, is there coverage when it comes to community centers or rec centers and pools? So taking what is city-owned La Mesa, but also throwing in some of the neighboring facilities that are right on the borders that do serve La Mesa needs, we get a better understanding that there is decent coverage, right? Because some of these bigger destinations, more often than not, do have people driving to them. So we do a 2-mile travel check for this analysis. As you can see, there's many ways, right, to combine the analysis, but this is just, you know, the first 3 that we did for this project. Yes.
Is that a route to?
It's a distance, yes, basically, yeah, it's a distance from a destination out. So the travel sheds that you'll see in the maps behind you, once we turn on all the lights, you're gonna see that there are how far it goes out. And it's not as the crow flies. You know, we don't do perfect circles around a park because that's not realistic. Nicole and our team members, they use the actual street to really try to determine how far does a half mile go, how far does a 2-mile go. So yes, it's the distance from the parks. Good question. Almost done with my presentation. We did want to point out that joint use agreements, this is a really important term, the JUAs, that's really the partnerships that a city may have with school districts, with YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, all that sort of thing. So the city of La Mesa has several of them, as you can see, but they vary, right? It doesn't mean full access into a school. It could be more often than not, it's the use of a field, right? Like after school hours. Sometimes in other cities, it's the playgrounds, right? So it's going to vary from city to city, but what you're seeing here is that list of JUAs, and it's something that we're going to explore more. Are they working well? Are they not working well? Are there other partnerships that we should explore? So those are the things we're going to dive in a little bit deeper over the summer with the city. And here's just a map kind of depicting, again, spread out throughout the city relatively well. And those are highlighted in the yellow and the, okay. I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes to show you some of the results from the big survey. Can I get a raise of hands for those who took the statistically valid survey that went out, I believe, a month ago? The big survey that went out, I think, about a month and a half. Raise your hand. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So good. I'm glad several of you took that survey. It was really important. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that are important for the Parks and Rec Master Plan. There was a question on, you know, please indicate in your household if you have any need for an amenity or a facility. These are the physical things in La Mesa. And so, of course, there are lots of options for you to click on or choose from in the survey. But the top 5 were trails and pathways, passive park spaces, aquatic center / pool, playgrounds, and dog parks. Those were the top 5 selected items for that question. This is important because it's directly feeding, right, what we could hopefully explore with this master plan. There was a question about the recreation program needs. So very similar, but think of like the special events programs. Again, lots of questions or things to select from. Top 5 included free low-cost community special events, fitness and wellness classes, hobby interest classes, outdoor fitness programs, and art programs. This is important to understand also because you need the spaces for these kinds of programs. So it's also understanding, do you literally have the rooms, right, available for these sort of things? So it's that balance. So very helpful information. Thank you to the ETC team that La Mesa hired to conduct this survey. We're gonna use the results from the survey to further inform our Parks and Rec Master Plan. Last question, I went 2 ahead. Sorry, one more question was more of a general thing, right? What are the more important things to your household? So I'll point out quality and maintenance of the parks was the #1, concern or requested item, followed by safety and security, protecting, preserving natural areas, addition of new park facilities, and affordability of programs. Those were the top 5 for this question.
Yes. In regards to this, do we have a figure of community space as like square footage in a building like this? Is that included anymore?
The question was if in this study or analysis, we're taking into consideration the square footage of community spaces. That is a thing that we'll need to consider. This is a citywide park and rec master plan, so there might be an opportunity to look at that.
But in regards to the programs that would be, like you say, your events.
They would vary.
Do we have a metric similar to acreage that we would apply?
I see. The question was about the metrics. So no, the answer is no. It really is the metrics from the national level do come more about the physical amenities, the park outdoor amenities. But that's a good question though. Yeah.
I had a question regarding this AEC. In the previous plan regarding MacArthur Park and other parks, what they planned to do was move the A's to the top of MacArthur Park and sell this land to a developer to build 63 low-cost apartments with no parking requirements on this property. And so we'd have like a 5-story tall complex on this land right here. That's what they're going to do. And I protested, and I got the planning commission to take it off the agenda for now, but I don't know if that's your ultimate goal for this place.
That's to be determined. So for those online, I'm going to just repeat that. I will. I don't have a clear answer for that right now, but I do appreciate you bringing it up. We're taking note of that commentary. I'll repeat it for those online. We have a community member here discussing about the adult enrichment center that we're currently in and the future of it, since it was being analyzed under the MacArthur Park master plan. And so I'm taking a note of the commentary, and we'll make sure to bring it up with the city and the client. So thank you for that, ma'am. City Council.
Okay.
Great. So I'm just going to walk you through the final couple slides for this presentation. Is really what are the next steps with this master plan. So we're still, in that step 2 and 3, kind of early, middle, halfway of the process. But for those online, we do have a SurveyMonkey survey that's asking a lot of the questions that you'll be commenting on here in person. So that will be available for about 2 weeks, just to give that opportunity for those who are at home or weren't able to come out today. We're going to summarize the feedback we collect today. Again, this was a repeat of last week's workshop. So we had this, I did the exact same thing last week over at Junior Cell, the Memorial School, Middle School up in the northeast part of the city. We're going to analyze further the results of the statistically valid survey. We're going to start looking at some draft recommendations in the summer so that we can schedule a late summer, early fall workshop number 3, where we're going to have draft recommendations for you all to love, not love, and give us more and more feedback, which is the point of these kind of master plans. There'll be more opportunities for outreach. It's a balance, yeah, but there'll be more opportunities. And for the rest of tonight's evening, it's an open house after done in just about 60 seconds. Please get up. We have boards, we have snacks, ask questions. Feel free to write things down, because if it's not written down, it could be forgotten technically. So please grab a sticky note, write on the maps, on the boards. They're here for you. And then again, this will get summarized and included in everything we do. So I'm going to pause here, Sue, and I think we can turn the lights on, Brooke, if you don't mind. Thank you so much. And
survey, how does that get distributed to everybody?
That we have opportunities through social media, and then we collect the emails when they log into the webinar. So we'll have that list of emails for those online, so we can distribute that. But yeah, we'll make sure that it goes throughout all the different channels. And we did create a dedicated Gmail account for this project. So you can email us at this email to continue sending us commentary for this master plan.
PowerPoint.
This is all being recorded. Yep, and it'll be available on the city's official YouTube page. Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Maybe tomorrow, probably by Friday. And yeah, we'll take a handful of questions. Kathleen, yes.
Valid survey that was only sent out to certain people, and then there was the link on the city's website, correct?
Yes, when it comes to the statistical valid survey, there's always the 2-parter. It's the thing that gets mailed out, and it's usually 3,000 to 5,000 households that get randomly selected. And then usually anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, we open it up. But those results are usually, kept separate, so we can compare and contrast the results of those who opted to take it from the mail and those who found it through the open link and take it. So yeah, we'll have both data sets available for us to analyze. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
And so you're taking your marching orders from the La Mesa City Council.
Yes, we were hired by the city of La Mesa to work on this Parks and Rec master plan, and through stakeholder meetings with commissioners and meetings and presentations, city council and the public, we'll hopefully be able to put together a draft master plan that hopefully has a happy medium of feedback that we collect from the community. Mhm.
That's charged to get rid of the AEC, like he tried to do a couple of years ago, which I stopped at the planning committee. He and 130 other residents around here were very upset. And now I guess they're trying to push it through.
Thank you, sir.
And again, is that the end agenda?
No, it's not. MacArthur Park Master Plan is a separate plan from this. This is for all the parks in the whole city. So the MacArthur Park Master Plan did not, it's not completed yet. And so there's no final recommendations. What is currently posted on the city website for input is the draft of that plan, which it has recommendations or opportunities to do something to make a community center that includes a gymnasium and rental space and a multi-generational facility that includes adult programs, youth programs, sports and things. No, in MacArthur Park across the street. So then the city owns this land, and an opportunity could be for housing on the city land, on city-owned property, not to sell it. And that note, that's just it's just a possible recommendation, as there's no decision or any progress being made on that. So for tonight, we're going to focus on citywide programs for all of it. So we're not talking about just MacArthur Park. So now we're going to move into, if we have any other questions, I didn't see any online in the back. And it actually, the survey results are reflective of the demographics, because we took the city demographics and then the demographics of the people that responded, and that it's a 94.5% accuracy rate of, so if you redid this survey over and over again with different groups of that same population in La Mesa, you more than likely 95% of the time would get the same answers. That's what a statistically valid survey is. So it matches the city demographics in age and race. And I think those are the two main things that we looked at to make sure that we got the input from citywide people of what the whole city's priorities were for all the parks. Okay. Hi, you come around this way because there's a cord.
Okay, thank you. So, good evening. Speaking of the city council, I'm one of your city council members, Shaq Shu, and I'm here just for a few moments. I don't want to participate in the workshop itself. That's kind of a problem if members of the council actually participate in the process in which we're trying to get input. So, but I do want to drop by and express my thanks for you participating tonight. It's hard to get people to come out and help the city plan our future. I have a great passion for parks and recreation and park recreation programs and facilities. And I want to encourage you to participate here and to think big. One of the reasons why I have that passion for parks and recreation is I know what it does for people, for families, for children, for youth as they grow up. That it is a huge factor in terms of how it can contribute towards our entire community in many ways. It's not just burning calories. It's not just going out and relaxing. It does more to our communities in terms of helping families stay together. It helps people learn how to work in teams and groups, how to interact with other people. It helps people stay healthy as well, right? It reduces obesity and all those other things. So to me, that's why it is so important that you not only think of the park facilities as just a facility, as a picnic table, as a basketball court, or when we deal with walking around the city. These are all things that help our city be much better in many other ways. So I tell people, if you're thinking of parks and recreation planning here in this general plan, think recreation with capital letters all the way across. Think deep, not into just output, but what I call outcomes. And those outcomes to me means less juvenile delinquency, less divorces maybe, or happier families. Maybe they're single families, but it helps those people do other things and help their lives. So please look beyond the facilities themselves. And, you know, people want to go nature walks. Why do they want nature? Why did that risk go high? And to me, it's because they want the outcomes. So please think about outcomes and measures like this. Question.
And you brought up a very good point. I was listening to what you were saying, and it appears that we have to put down all of our preferences on paper or answer multiple choice questions, but then you take those preferences and design what you want to do. But how about if the people got together and we could design a space, you know, and present it to the city?
You can, you certainly can. So you can do it at any time. You can do it through this process here, and there'll be opportunities for you to do that process with the consultants we've hired, because they have fancy tools and maps and stuff. And they have suggestions, ideas, and you can ask them, how does this work in other parks? And maybe they'll give the idea. But the other way you can always do stuff, last night, sorry. So last night, we had a council meeting. There's a general comment period. You could have 2-3 minutes, and you could talk about any. Yeah, last night was a good one. We didn't have very many public commenters. You know, sometimes we're really busy, and you know, the mayor doesn't want to stay there for too long, so he likes moving things along. Yeah, so please provide that input. I encourage that. I think the public process is important. So you don't have to wait for a general plan process. And if you have a specific plan about a particular park, walkway, typically we get complaints, you know, we go kind of this or that. Come and give us that input at time.
How do you envision each park?
Right, but I would also encourage you though to go beyond just that. But I'm going to stop here because they have a good process, and I don't want to interrupt that. I don't even, I know I won't comment on the process other than that we do have for city council, and we do meet. Right.
That's what we're gonna do tonight.
Right, that's what you're gonna do tonight. I just.
Paper back there, you're gonna get the design. So that's what we're here for
Right.
tonight. So let's move so everybody can get.
Right, so please put out the input. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for coming tonight. So any other direct questions we're gonna have walk around also on the boards in the back, and we can chat with you and show you what the process is and the questions. So that we can, if you have questions on all those maps that we had up here, we have in the back.
What's the time frame? Because I know that we've gone through this process before.
The process for the citywide park and recreation, or sorry, it was a citywide park master plan. It didn't include the recreation programs. Was well, it was finalized in 2012, but it started more like 2010. So it's been 10 years. And so in an ideal world, you redo your park master plan every 10 years. So we're on schedule for that. But we have done this we did one, we're still finishing Waite Drive Park, which is a park specific master plan. And then we started probably 2018, 2019, the MacArthur Park master plan. So that was specific to that site. And as we were getting through that process, when we started looking at what priorities would be for improvements to other parks, because if we were going to do fundraising and do things, we didn't want to just do one park, we want to do citywide. So that's why we kind of paused that. So then we could look at all the parks in the city to look for improvements, renovations, new parks, things like that for a system-wide thing. So that's why we're here now to look at all the parks in the whole city. Does that answer your question?
It does. One last thing. When you had the space per pet, is that there were obviously two sets of criteria there. What does the city go by? Can that change? What's the guideline?
The general plan says at least 3 acres per 1,000.
The general plan means
The citywide one. The city of La Mesa says at least 3 per 1,000. Ideally would be 5, but if we got 62 more acres of parkland to meet that minimum, we would be grand, right? So Kathleen, you had a question.
Yeah, I wanted to know, do you have an analysis of all the goals you've had in the last Parks Master Plan? And what goals have you met current? Like over the course of 10 years, what have you been able to accomplish in the previous master plan?
That's a good question. So for people watching on Zoom, the question was, did we take the 2012 master plan and it had recommendations and then make a list of comparisons of accomplishments that we achieved on those? And no, we haven't, but that's a really great idea. So we might be talking about that. Thank you.
Taking into consideration of the 1,000 people population, that then should be 3 acres per 1,000. What if within those 1,000 are a lot of elderly people that will never go? I mean, you know,
We actually do it more, or they do it, consultants who have the geo mapping stuff,
right.
do it more for things like playgrounds. They'll look for densities of youth. So so if we're looking at playgrounds, they had a slide we didn't put in the presentation tonight. Oh, and so for Zoom people, sorry, the question was, do we do an analysis of if people weren't going to travel to a park, do we include that in our parks per 1,000? But we still want to have activities for people to be able to walk to their park if they're older, so that they can get active and they can get sunshine and they can get the benefits of parks. But yes, we do that particularly for playground areas of densities of youth, 12 and unders.
So people can get to that. It's not going to get still.
Yes, and so that comment was different facilities are going to have different amenities, and that's why we include the 2-mile drive, because we're only probably going to have one pool, and then with our partner agencies, the Croc Center and Fletcher Hills Pool's pretty close. The YMCA is also in La Mesa. You can get to a park within 2 miles of get to a pool within 2 miles of your house. And if we had let's say a centrally located community center where we did events, it's pretty much 2 miles almost to the whole, if it's centrally located, a gymnasium or a community center you can get to, and then it's near transit also, and then you could walk or bike ideally, right? Okay, so Jacob I'm going to give it back. I do have one question on a Q&A, and so let me run back real quick before we do it and see what that.
It's sort of oh, so it was just that people be able to see the boards in the room and I'll answer the questions.
Okay, well, that being said, thank you all so much for sticking through in the Q&A. Please get up, stretch out, grab a snack. The K2A team and the City of Mesa are here to walk you through any of the questions you have on the boards. Thank you very much for coming up tonight. We appreciate it.